CBS Sports welcomes you to St. Petersburg, Florida. We are indeed ready to get into the swing of things here with the first Final Four ever in the Sunshine State. What a wondrous scene it is. One of the most special days of the year. Final Four Saturday. The semifinals coming up. Ohio State and UConn will lead it off. And then Duke and Michigan State, a matchup of the two top-ranked teams in the country in the second game here. Ohio State and Connecticut coming up first. Hi, everybody. Jim Nantz, Billy Packer. And welcome to the 25th Final Four as a broadcaster, Billy.
It's been a lot of special years, and this ought to be a great day for us, Jim.
What a set of teams we have here, too. We're talking about the top 3 ranked teams in the country, along with a Cinderella, Ohio State. What do you think of that?
Well, not only 3 #1 seeds, but 1, 2, 3 in the country, and the number 14 team in the country, Ohio State, Jim, the number 2 team in the toughest league in the land, the Big Ten, so they belong here as well.
Well, Ohio State won the South Regional, and what did they do to get here?
Well, Scooty Penn is a great backcourt leader. He hits out to Michael Redd, who can really bury the 3. Ken Johnson came up so big, 7 blocks against St. John's. He's got to do it today, and they have Jason Singleton, a quiet man that can step up on the inside.
And the UConn Huskies, they went right through the West Regional as champions, and what about their case?
Nobody's a more explosive scorer in college basketball than Rip Hamilton. There he is doing it again. And Jim Calhoun says Ricky Moore is the best defensive player he's ever coached. We'll see so today. And, of course, they have a game stopper as well. On the inside, Kevin Freeman, the Big East Tournament Conference Player of the Year.
And that Buckeye backcourt, over 50% of the Ohio State points in the tournament. Jim O'Brien told us, I need 40 points from this pair in the game against UConn.
That'll be a tough task with the great defenders they'll face. And, Jim, we're going to see something very unusual from Ohio State. They set up a 5-foot 10-inch guard, Scooty Penn, who's a great one, down on the inside. And when they do this, the ball's hit out to Redd. A solid screen for Penn inside, and a 5'10" man that can dunk with 2 hands goes inside to score. Take a look at what the action looks like. Out to Redd. There's the screen for Penn. Down inside, and he converts. A 5-foot 10-inch center in the paint, huh?
Well, the UConn Huskies, Billy, had always faced a roadblock in a regional final in the 90s. By far the dominant team of the Big East in this decade. They couldn't quite get here. It was Leitner who beat them back in 1990 in the regional final. The champion Bruins in 95 out west. Carolina a year ago, but when they beat Gonzaga, they indeed reached the mountaintop of their journey. It's UConn and Ohio State, the Final Four, all set to start in a moment.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the NCAA Final Four. For tonight's first-round semifinal game between the Ohio State University Buckeyes and the Huskies from the University of Connecticut. Let's meet the starting lineups. At forward for Ohio State, at 6'5", a senior from Detroit, Michigan, number 23, Jason Singleton. At forward for Connecticut, a 6'6" junior from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, number 32, Richard Hamilton. At forward for Ohio State, at 6'6", a sophomore from Columbus, Ohio, number 22, Michael Redd. At forward for Connecticut, at 6'7", a junior from Springfield, Massachusetts, number 15, Kevin Freeman. At center for Ohio State, at 6'11", a junior from Detroit, number 32, Ken Johnson. At center for Connecticut, at 6'11", a junior from Katy, Texas, number 43, Jake Bosco. At guard for Ohio State, at 6'3", a freshman from Brooklyn, New York, number 13, Brian Brown. At guard for Connecticut, at 6'2", a senior from Augusta, Georgia, number 21, Ricky Moore. At guard for Ohio State, at 5'10", a junior from Salem, Massachusetts, wearing number 35, Scooty Penn. At guard for Connecticut, at 5'10", a sophomore from Minneapolis, number 42, Khalid Al-Amin. The head coach for Ohio State is Jim O'Brien. And the head coach for Connecticut is Jim Calhoun.
All right, Billy, let's go through the Packer points for game one.
Well, Jim, let's take a look at these two teams. Star Wars. We've got Michael Redd, Richard Hamilton, two of the most prolific scorers in college basketball. They both have to come up big offensively. Mission accomplished. You often wonder how teams emotionally are going to take it getting to the Final Four. Look for assist and turnovers for both of these basketball teams early on to see the tempo. And Penn Scooney, yes, I do know his name is Scooney Penn, but Ricky Moore is going to try to contain one of the most dangerous backcourt players in the country. And is it Johnson or Johnson? We've seen a man who has not played offensively that very well all year long, but he was tremendous against St. John's. Which one will appear today?
Hey, Billy, Scooney Penn's got a uniform number change here, 35, and Bonnie Bernstein, why not number 12? What's the deal?
I know number 35 doesn't look quite right on Scooney Penn, but what happened was, see, the managers haven't done any laundry except practice jerseys and stuff. When they went to go unpack his bag, they found that Scooney's number 12 red jersey wasn't in the bag. They're not quite sure if the managers might have left it at the hotel or it might have just been left back in Columbus. At any rate, that jersey, that number 5, is the blood jersey. That would be the jersey that one of the guys would wear. They got blood on their shirt and they had to wear something else, Jim.
It might represent what he thinks he's going to score today. Yeah. 35 instead of 12.
Jim Burr, Larry Rose, Mark Whitehead, congratulations for drawing the Final Four assignment. No, he should have paid extra for that express laundry service.
Jim, the two men standing at the center circle, to me, are the keys to this game in regard to what center can stay in the game and stay out of foul trouble and help man that position, because we've got such great matchups at the other positions that seem to be relatively equal. These two men really have a burden today.
Final Four is underway, and Khalid El-Amin and UConn have it first.
Great matchups. Red is on Hamilton.
Freeman steps in, lays it in for the first two.
And takes it right at Johnson, the shot blocker. Full court pressure by Connecticut. Nothing unusual here. But Ohio State basically plays 3 guards, 2-point guards, and Red who can swing out there.
You thought it would be Ricky Moore on Scooney Penn, but it's on El-Amin instead. Johnson with the follow-up, and right where he left off a week ago.
Good offensive glass, and you can see what happened there. Bosco's trying to help out on Red's penetration, not in position to block out. Good idea by Connecticut to go inside early, try to get Johnson in some trouble.
Bosco tried the left hand over Johnson. Pass ahead, the turnover. Back to UConn. The Huskies 32-2 on the year. Jim Calhoun's 13th year and 302 wins as the Connecticut coach.
Statistically, both of these teams like to score in the mid-70s. So don't be surprised to see Ohio State try to get out on the break. Little pick and roll action.
Moore trying to get it back to Bosco, and a break. It was last touched by the Buckeyes.
Terrific job by Singleton anticipating the play, and really that play developed a little bit too far away from the basket, a little slow. They're lucky Singleton didn't pick it off.
Hamilton has the freshman guarding him.
The zone action right now, Jim. 2-3 on the zone out of bounds.
Hamilton on the drive. Jumper too strong. Tipped up once by Freeman. And Johnson aggressively sweeps it away for the Buckeyes.
That's what Freeman does so well. When you charge out at him where he has the good 3-point range, he's got the medium game as well. Surprising he didn't hit that. Posting up on Hamilton.
Into the senior Singleton. Johnson follow. Tipped around to the Huskies. Moore will push it ahead to Hamilton. On the drive, and he'll shoot 2.
Jim, that's going to be very dangerous for Connecticut. Singleton down inside on Hamilton. They want to see whether or not he's strong enough to handle it. I'll never forget a practice that I went to earlier this year with Connecticut. Jim Calhoun has a drill where he has one guy that has to stop everybody on the team in the paint. And they really put pressure on Hamilton physically to see if he could do it. He really is not that strong a guy physically, and you can see Ohio State trying to take advantage of it early. Very interesting offensive maneuver.
First team All-America will shoot 2. Already a finalist for a lot of the Player of the Year awards. His coach, Jim Calhoun, told us it's amazing how many ways he can put the ball in the basket. He gets a 20, 25-point game in such a silent way at times.
He does, Jim, because he's got the outside perimeter shot. He can drive all the way to the basket. He's a good finisher on the break. He doesn't mind pulling up for the 12-footer as well. Oh, there's a tackle. No foul called on Hamilton.
Hamilton and Singleton underneath, battling.
Bad shot by Brown. Nothing there.
Last touch by Voskuhl.
Hamilton, without question, committed a foul here. No call made. It's hard to believe that wasn't a foul. Back screen. There's the pull down. What a great matchup here for Freeman. Red's got a lot of shake and bake type moves. So far, Freeman stared him down every time he's tried one.
Red. And Voskuhl right underneath with the box out.
Ohio State cannot let that kind of an outlet pass 30 feet down the court.
El-Amin, he didn't make a shot from the floor in the West Final against Gonzaga. Knocks down his first attempt tonight.
Right, 0 for 12 in that game. But, Jim, that is something you can't do against Connecticut. Let them get an outlet pass off the boards to half court. They're just too good a fast break team to do that. Back screen for Penn. Moore stays right with him.
Back inside, Johnson. Gets it to go. He's
Beautiful.
at 4 already.
Beautiful set play by Ohio State. That was designed for Johnson to come down the middle from the get-go. Offense
On Freeman.
Freeman smiles. He realized Singleton did a good acting job on him there. El-Amin drives to the basket, but this was set up, Jim, by allowing Connecticut to have the court spread on that original outlet pass. El-Amin with that disastrous game the other day, but he's much like we'll see in the second game. Mateen Cleaves, the kind of guys that could go 0 for 12 and then come right back and stick one on you. Scooney Penn beats him off the dribble.
Voskuhl out, and Suleiman Juan is in for UConn, number 34. Inside, they beat him to Red for 2.
No help back there because Johnson was posted up high. Suleiman not there in time to help out. He's got to understand what's played behind him.
El-Amin
On the hand.
Yep. He thought he had a 3-point play coming. First on Brown. Jimmy O'Brien, the Big Ten Coach of the Year.
Jim, El-Amin last summer played on that Goodwill team. We'll see Elton Brand in the second game that did that. We saw Wally Serbiak in this NCAA tournament that was so important to that team as well. But he's played a lot of basketball, and some think that maybe he wore down a little bit in the month of February, but I think he's back full speed now.
That one breaks the tie. Huskies make another sub here. They bring in DJ Harrison for El-Amin.
I would say that Connecticut will show more depth than does Ohio State. Ohio State has a number of guys that play 30 minutes a game. 3 as a matter of fact. And they will be tested today because Jim Calhoun can go a lot deeper. Johnson wanting that ball on the inside.
Got a couple of baskets, got his confidence.
Boy, look at Ricky Moore deny penetration.
Brown in and out, and Freeman pulls it away. On backing in. Turn
Nice
around.
pump.
Yeah, good move.
There's Red with the rebound. Scooney looking to hit ahead. Singleton gets out on the break on almost every play.
Johnson jumper.
And boy, this is really key. If Suleiman can give them a few minutes here to keep Voskuhl rested, Voskuhl can go in without foul trouble. Johnson's got to wear down some.
Ricky Moore, the senior, swish.
Jim, we're looking at a young man that started out at Connecticut that you thought would be an explosive scorer. He's accepted his role as the defensive player and the setup man. Give him an awful lot of credit for doing that. Because as a sophomore, freshman and sophomore, I thought he'd be a big-time scorer. He has really accepted his role.
Red three-pointer over the top and a timeout. So Moore and El Amin, that backcourt duo, winning the early battle here in St. Pete. So Billy Packer back at the national semifinals. The road to the Final Four for Ohio State through Murray State, walloping Detroit in the second round, knocking off a 1-seed Auburn in the Sweet 16. Then St. John's holding on to beat St. John's. UConn won out west by a 15-point average with wins over Iowa and then Gonzaga in a real battle in that regional final.
Jim, when I think of that Ohio State-St. John's game, imagine beating a team by 3 points that out-rebounded you 45-28. And when I think of this game right here, Michael Redd has not scored yet. And he had 17. He has one. He had 17 points in the first half in that St. John's game. Ohio State's got to get him on track.
Scooney Penn has not attempted a shot to this point, Billy. I got E.J. Harrison guarding Penn now.
And what you're seeing right here is Jim Calhoun's playing this first half to get to the second. Using a lot of people trying to wear down men that are used to playing 30-plus minutes a game.
Penn to the corner. Savovich with a three.
Savovich came off the bench, supplied some very good offensive production against St. John's. 7 points, 3 rebounds, 3 big assists.
Hamilton with a head fake, now the drive, and this will be a block on the Buckeyes. Well, since 1979, championship. Look at that.
Now, the number ones have done well, Jim, but for those people wanting to coronate Duke, I'll throw one out here. Not since '76 when Indiana came in undefeated as a team with 1 or more or less losses won a national championship. 19 have tried it. You've got to go back to 1976 for a team that's been able to do that.
You think of some of the teams on that list, the likes of UNLV in '91.
And the very same team we'll be seeing in the second game. Duke knocked off that undefeated UNLV club that everybody thought was invincible.
Edmund Saunders has come in for UConn. What a boost he has given this bunch this season. Sophomore from Waterbury, Connecticut.
Well, even though the score is just a 2-point and maybe a 3-point game right now, I've got to give Connecticut a big advantage in the fact that they've gone to the bench and are able to save the likes of Bosco and Freeman here early in the ball game.
And Hamilton will get a breather, replaced by Roshmel Jones. We've seen 9 different players in action for the Huskies.
Trying to get the double team. Scooney Penn has got to get himself on track. Great crossover dribble.
Puts it up. Red with his second basket of the game.
Well, you talk about his offensive proficiency. He led the Big Ten in scoring as a freshman, the first man ever to do that.
Spin move. El Amin denied. And last touch by Ohio State.
Savovich with a good, solid defensive play. Here we see the great crossover dribble by Red. He can go right or left with that, and at 6'6", shoots over most guards.
Bosco is back. Jake Bosco.
Against the zone.
Saunders hits his first shot.
Just posted up against the zone. That zone was really spread out that time by Connecticut, and surprisingly, because they don't have their best pure shooters in the game.
El Amin reaching in and takes it away. Spins away from Savovich to the corner to Moore. Steps in, comes up short.
Well, what Ricky Moore tried to do is draw the foul that time. He knew he had the shot blocker against him.
3 and too strong. Penn stolen. What a grab by El Amin.
Nice anticipation.
Jones to the basket for 2 more.
Jim, when you look at Roshmel Jones, we're talking about a young guy that was a starter at one time, and as a sophomore had 31 starts, averaged 13 a game. So don't be surprised to see him put some points up here.
He
Red
came
again
in
with a crossover.
That reach in on El Amin. Yeah, Roshmel Jones came in with with Ricky Moore, and they both were big contributors right away. That was some snag.
Well, it was, and I think that Scooney gave that pass away with the eye contact. He tries to go for the steal from behind, but Jones really played it well.
Hamilton for El Amin into the lineup.
Johnson takes a rest. Jim O'Brien realizes he can't keep him out there all the time, realizing that Jim Calhoun's gone to this bench early, trying to wear Ohio State down. Penn buried down in the baseline, can't get away from Moore.
Called on Moore, holding Penn.
Well, is it Moore or is it going to be
Jones?
Jones?
I believe it's Jones now.
I think it's going to be Jones.
UConn with the biggest lead of the game, a 5-point lead. Under 12 minutes to go first half. Back at Tropicana Field, St. Petersburg, Florida. To this point, Scooney Penn has not even attempted a shot. He left his, or the managers left the jersey back in Columbus. Hopefully for the Buckeyes, they didn't leave his game back there too.
Jim, I think that's good news and bad news for Ohio State. Number one, he's an outstanding basketball player. He's also a smart player. But what he's got to recognize right now is that he's being played by a very good basketball player defensively. He has got to create a way to get off some shots. His team cannot beat Connecticut if he isn't taking some shots. So even though Moore is a great defender, they have to figure out a way to get Scooney some looks at the basket.
Jake Bosco whistled for a foul.
That's one of those cheap ones that really hurt. Nice play inside to Singleton. Boy, that man-to-man defense on out-of-bounds plays, if you get a solid screen inside, you can make something happen. You see Jim O'Brien using that 2-3 matchup right now. But it's spread out. There's a lot of room right in the center to get that ball inside and then hit outside where Hamilton's so effective. There it is.
El Amin back. Freeman returns for Saunders and Jones.
Be more difficult to play the zone against the team that's on the floor now because you have El Amin who can shoot from the outside, as can Hamilton. But the 2-3 stays intact.
Not a fresh 35. 12 on the shot clock.
And El Amin, a very good penetrator against zone defense, particularly one spread like this.
They're not playing as though they're aware of this shot clock limit. Hamilton knows it.
Hit nothing. Jim O'Brien wanted a rebound, and guys, let's get going. You should never assume that that shot clock beat the defense. You know, you should just go ahead and keep playing. Here's the press again. So far, that has been somewhat ineffective.
Reese into the game. Oh, and they had Singleton cutting to the hole, but Ricky Moore again makes a defensive play. He's something else.
Now Freeman back in there on red, goes inside. There's Singleton. We talked about a quiet assassin. You just don't realize how effective he can be. Ricky Moore, no place to go against the zone.
Buckeyes running. Red with Hamilton manning him. Underneath, Reese for two.
How about that dribble by Red? Needed to pick up some space, put it between his legs to get the space, and then made the pass. Sensational play.
They come right out of the break with 6 unanswered to take the lead.
I'm really surprised at that drive by Moore in that last possession, Jim. Not wise against his zone. They need to pick it apart.
El Amin steps forward, drains it.
Very similar to Scooney Penn. He can penetrate. He can get off that shot inside at 12 feet. Now, what Ohio State might do for Penn is to start setting some solid screens to get more off him.
Red, tough shot, tipped around. 2 Huskies were there, out to Penn, his first attempt, and he nails it.
Well, you can't fault Ricky Moore on that. That was a wild offensive rebound for Ohio State. They are on a great roll here.
Hamilton gives UConn the lead back.
We talked about the shooting stars. We saw them back-to-back.
Reese to Singleton, gets it back.
Very tough catch inside Singleton had there.
Off the floor, Moore.
They've got numbers here.
El Amin takes the middle to Freeman, and one. What a pass.
Boy, Connecticut realized 2 Ohio State players on the floor. They had the 3-on-2, and that goes to show you how strong Kevin Freeman is. Kasavovich Tried to grab him with two hands. Sensational behind-the-back pass by Elamine. Good catch by a finisher. Savovich goes up, tries to pull him down, and Freeman just too strong. Terrific job by Kevin Freeman on the inside.
And according to the UConn staff, Tim Tolikin, that's the first behind-the-back pass by Elamine all season.
Not like he doesn't have the ability to throw it, though. You throw it when you need it, not to be fancy, and he needed it on that play. Perfect execution.
He's not a player in the flash, but he knows how to finish. And the Huskies now back in front by 4. After a 6-point run by the Buckeyes, 6 right back by UConn. First the Bucks, then the Huskies.
Red out of the game, so where is that secondary score? It should be coming inside Johnson or maybe Singleton. Solid screen, but not a good one.
Savovich. Not this time. And it's going to be called on Ohio State for pushing off.
Jimmy, you've got 2 freshmen on the floor right now for Ohio State. Dangerous combination, although they have played well together against a very experienced Connecticut ball club.
That was on Johnson of Ohio State.
So Johnson and Bosco have both picked up 1 cheap foul apiece. With 8 minutes and 46 seconds to go, not bad for 2 guys that have to stay on the floor.
Hamilton working off the screen, and he's warming up.
And Jim O'Brien takes a look at the 2-3 zone and said, guys, that's a simple maneuver we can defend. Nobody fought over the top against the screen.
He calls a 20. You know, we have 2 Big Ten teams here, and also Duke from the ACC, UConn out of the Big East. And
Boom,
those
boom,
are the
boom.
3,
1, 2, 3.
3 highest winning percentages by conference in the tournament. Well, Billy, near the conclusion of this game, we will be selecting a genuine Chevrolet most valuable player of the game from each team. To date, Chevrolet has contributed over $7 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities.
Here's that pickup again. Just trying to contain Scooney Penn. Savovich not that great a ball handler. They've got to switch now, and Elamine does a smart thing. Get away from him.
Wow, Penn right over Moore. I think Moore believed he wouldn't take it.
Yeah, I think that he thought that he would set up the offense. Scooney with that good delivery without a dribble. And they go back to man-to-man. Nope, they're still matching up in the 2-3.
Elamine. And UConn's knocked down its last 5 shots.
And Elamine, as I said, 0 for 12 in his last ball game. Not going to let that deter him at all.
Ancient history now, the way he's playing.
Jim, he had two 21-point games in a row prior to that one. It's not like he's not capable.
Saunders snatches it away. 3-on-2. Hamilton pull up. 6 straight made baskets by the Huskies.
They're getting out in the break with numbers 3-on-2 just about every time. Red's got to get back into this ball, and here he comes right now. He's going to say they've got to get another score in the game.
This 7-point deficit, the largest of the tournament for Ohio State, and it could increase. Elamine, Savovich is back, trying to turn around. Follow up for 2 more by Hamilton.
Elamine wanting the foul. Penn very good at coming from behind, trying to make the block, but Connecticut getting numbers every time down the floor.
Another 20-second timeout by the Buckeyes. This program note, Tuesday on JAG, a crippled aircraft carrier leaves a flight of planes with no place to land. Who is trying to take out the U.S. Navy? It's an explosive all-new JAG Tuesday on CBS.
Jimmy, you see Jimmy O'Brien not wasting any time whatsoever to use these timeouts. He knows that Connecticut loves to have those multiple runs, and he's got to stop the runs. Jimmy, of course, a Boston College graduate. Interesting note we had before of the original teams in the Big East. Boston College, the only team not to get to a Final Four, but Boston College kind of the seat of NCAA tournament coaches this year with O'Brien, Gary Williams, and Dr. Tom Davis, all former BC coaches that had teams in the NCAA tournament.
Yep, UConn the 7th of the original 8 out of the Big East.
Another fast break.
And that foul actually saves a basket.
We have Michael Redd back into the ball game now. Scooney Penn, you can see some distraught looks on the part of the Ohio State players. Scooney's got to get him back in the offense.
Jim Nance and Billy Packer from the Final Four. No repeat teams in St. Pete, as Kentucky, those comeback cats, unable to come back to the Final Four. They made it the deepest in this tournament from the 4 who made it to the Promised Land a year ago. And this 9-point deficit again is the largest such deficit that Ohio State has faced in this tournament.
And Jim, Albert Mooring, who has been out with some injuries, is into the ball game. Another very explosive scorer coming off the bench for Connecticut. This is a very deep basketball team. And with a lead, Mooring, a dangerous guy out there. Beautiful play.
And Singleton blocked it cleanly. Freeman went baseline, and the arrow.
Ohio
State. Yep.
Here we see a tremendous block right on the ball. Can't have it any better than that. Actually, 2 fellas got the block, Singleton and Johnson.
What a satisfaction it must be for Jason Singleton. He, along with Nashawn Coleman, the only 2 out of a recruiting class of 8 still around, never enjoyed a postseason experience until their senior year.
Well, Jim, to think about it, Wisconsin in 1941 is the only team that had a worse record and got to the Final Four since Ohio State did. Wisconsin 25% wins, and Ohio State last year 26%. So an incredible accomplishment and a turnaround.
El-Amin back. Bosco hops off the bench. He's going to check in too. You can get inside the Final Four with box scores, team stats, and recaps in the Game Center. Only at cbs.sportsline.com or on America Online. Enter keyword CBS Sportsline.
We're seeing more substitution by Jim Calhoun in this game than I anticipated, but it's been very, very effective. I think it's actually throwing Ohio State off in 2 reasons. One, who are the matchups? They're back to man now. And there's Mooring getting loose on the baseline. Over the back is Voskuhl, his 2nd cheap foul of the game. He's probably going to come out right now. We'll see. Lamont Juan back into the ball game. 6 minutes to go. You don't want his 3rd here in the half. Let's see if Jim Calhoun makes the signal. I think he will.
Yep,
there it is.
Juan is checking in. You saw the stat a moment ago. Ohio State with 7 turnovers, while the Huskies, so efficient to this point, only once have they turned it over.
And that may have answered that question. You wonder what teams will do who get to the Final Four and say, hey, I'm just happy to be here. You can see that Connecticut really concentrating.
So with 2, he sits. Voskuhl.
2 cheap ones, Jim. And boy, with those big guys inside, they cannot afford to pick those up. Jim Calhoun very disturbed with Voskuhl on that.
And that last turnover, the 8th for the Buckeyes. They've only been averaging 9 turnovers a game in the 4 NCAA wins.
Tried the 2-3 matchup zone. Now they're back to their man-to-man. El-Amin down on the baseline looking for a solid screen.
On the blocks, Juan. In the lane, pump fake, turn around, good move, and again it doesn't drop. That's twice, though, he set himself up.
He really did, Jim. You know, he made excellent pump fakes, got Johnson up off the ground. You get that shot blocker off the ground, and you still have your pivot foot left there. You're in pretty good shape, but neither one fell.
Saunders called for his first. Hamilton returns. He has 11 points for the Huskies to lead the way. 8 by El-Amin.
Jim, you talked about a quiet score.
11.
Exactly.
There you go.
11 points. If you said, how many does he have? Now you'd say 6. He's got 11. Oh, good play by Scooney on a step out.
El-Amin. Saunders comes flying through, wants to reset it. Hamilton slashing to the hole, out to Mooring.
Mooring probably not 100% yet.
Under 5 to go first half. Brown to the basket and a block on Juan.
Pretty good idea. Didn't give the shot blocker an opportunity to get set. Brown, the young man from New York City, knows how to handle that play. This is a very important time, though, for Ohio State. They've got to get some points on the board. They've got to get Red back in the offensive action. As I said, 17 of his 20 points against St. John's came in the first half. He really hasn't done a lot of one-on-one type things that he's capable of.
Freshman will shoot 2 from Brooklyn, New York.
And not a good free throw shooter, Jim. Kind of unusual here. A backcourt man that just doesn't make him on the line. Only 52% on the year. He's got a good-looking stroke. You can't have much better stroke than that. To shoot 52% is surprising.
Buckeyes' first point in a 3.5-minute span.
Red out of position defensively, and that puts...
Saunders was trying to act as though there had been no contact, but he's called for the foul, posting up.
Singleton has seen the Academy Awards show. This is the second good acting job that he's done today. And in both cases, look at him going down. You know how hard you'd have to hit a guy to knock him back like that? But a good job. He's picked up 2 cheap fouls on Connecticut.
They may have seen the Oscars, but this is not the thin red line for the Buckeyes. Inside. Singleton at the line. And here's the senior we've been talking about. Out of Detroit High School, Southgate Aquinas High School.
Terrific game against St. John's. 13 points. He was 6 for 7 from the floor.
1-1. Got his high school coaches here. Ernie Price and Jim Perry here to cheer him on.
Your old buddy Jim Perry.
Old star down for Guy Lewis, the University of Houston. And the senior, long, 1 of 2. Long rebound to Freeman.
No chance on that one. Red so far doing a pretty decent job when he's assigned to Hamilton. I think they should get the ball to Hamilton, make Red work a little bit.
Moore in the lane. Juan tries to keep it alive.
Good. Oh, boy.
Got 2-on-1. Red calls for it up high. Gets it low instead and jams it home.
Scoonie Penn, one of the best I've ever seen at 5'10" to make blocks from behind. I know he was calling a foul on that block on Barkley in the St. John's game, but it was a sensational play. He knows how to time it and come from behind.
Remember, the Huskies had made 6 straight at one time. Now they've misfired on 7 in a row.
Pretty good, solid comeback by Ohio State here when they really were threatening to blow them out.
They were down 9. Last minute, got it over to Hamilton. And Red batted it loose and gets the loose ball. Underneath, Brown for 2 more. Oh, wow.
Pretty good touch and a catch. Tell you, Red does some incredible things for a man his size in the open court with his dribble. Connecticut is...
And another strip. Brown up ahead. It's perfect. Singleton. Good night.
Perfect pass. A nice lead, soft pass instead of trying to hit him with a bullet. And Connecticut gets some of their own medicine here as Ohio State strikes on the break.
And a 20 by the Huskies as the Buckeyes run off 8 unanswered.
Jim, what we're seeing is that Connecticut trying to do a lot of one-on-one maneuvering. Elamine goes in there. Brown with that great strip as Elamine was trying to go up. Look at Elamine look and turn to the official. Too late, son. What you've got to do is get back on defense. And there's Brown with a great hit ahead. Nice soft pass that Singleton could run into.
Singleton has 7 for the Buckeyes with this 8-0 run now, bringing the lead to 1.
Singleton now on Hamilton inside. Switch take place. Penn now on him. Wall.
Yep.
Now what's happening? Juan has made 2 good moves and got the shot off. That time he tries an offensive maneuver and it's not there for him. Losing some confidence. Jim Calhoun goes in at halftime, he's going to very easily be able to say to his ball club, we were in a position to open up a margin on this in this game, but everybody decided to go one-on-one. That's not the answer for this team. They can be very efficient with the ball, give Hamilton a lot of looks at the basket. Ohio State give them a lot of credit for making a comeback there with some solid D.
Heck, UConn hasn't scored on its last 9 possessions.
And that's because there was no offensive structure. Everything broke down to one-on-one basketball.
And the last 3 trips resulted in turnovers.
And remember who was the turnover leader early in this game. Ohio State was turning it over.
Yeah, 8-1 at one time. Last touch by UConn. For in-depth tournament stats, go to cbs.sportsline.com. And look at the turnovers now. It was 8-1, now 8-6.
And that's certainly what brought him back in the game. Singleton moves so well without the ball. That pass was thrown from a little bit too far out. There's that crossover dribble.
Red in traffic. And Freeman has it slip through his hands back to Red. Gave him 2 there.
And Red was looking to make the pass to a better opportunity for a teammate. Instead, makes the shot himself.
Look at Hamilton drive to the basket. For just a moment there, Ohio State had come all the way from 9 down to take the lead. But UConn now 34-33.
And Jim O'Brien is dumbfounded. How in the world could we let the guy that is the most difficult man to stop wide open?
Long rebound out to El Amin. Huskies are running. The Buckeyes recover. College off the glass and it rattles home.
So far, Connecticut has taken Johnson out of the game as a shot blocker. As I said, had 7 shot blocks against the other Big East opponent, St. John's. Today, he's not been able to get up there. Brown tries to turn the corner.
Amin strips him. Up pass, Hamilton chases it down, but he's on the line. Coming up on Pennzoil at the half, Greg Clark and Coach Majerus will have first half analysis plus the announcement of the Chevrolet Player and Coach of the Year. All coming up on Pennzoil at the half.
Jim, that was probably not a very wise pass. You're up 3, about a minute to go in the half. You want to keep possession of the ball. Let Hamilton have it. Get back to your half-court set.
Final minute of the half.
Seems like Connecticut keeps trying to blow Ohio State out of this game. Ohio State not ready for that to happen. You got to be patient.
Red spins away, finds Singleton open.
Good job by Saunders. Made him change the shot. It's not a block, but just as good.
Ohio State ball, fresh 35. They can use all but 2 seconds of the game clock here.
I think they'd be wise down 3 to hang on to it.
There's Singleton.
Second time today, Ohio State has come in behind the defense on an out-of-bounds play to score.
2 easy ones.
That's right. Those are 100% shots. But Jim wants him to come out and press. He'd like to get the ball back for 1 shot. Trying to go for the steal.
10 seconds left in the half. Saunders sets a screen. More back to Saunders.
There's Johnson.
Swatted out by Johnson with 1 second remaining.
Huge play right there because a good pick and roll by Connecticut. The young man got over in time.
That's what he did 7 times last week. 1 second left in the half. They signal play number 5.
That's his 98th block on the year.
Hamilton blocked by Singleton.
Well, now, wait a minute. Scooty Penn bumped his old man.
But Singleton
thought it was Hamilton. Yeah, he sure did. Nothing going there. Pretty good half by both teams, but the players try to go a little bit too one-on-one. Got him in trouble. Both coaches realizing what happened and walking gracefully off the court.
Well, it had been 32-23 UConn. But Ohio State closes the half with a 12-4 run. Let's go over to Armin Katayan. Armin?
Coach, streaky first half. You're up by 9, and then the roof kind of falls in. What happened?
Well, I don't know any roof. It's still there, I think. But we didn't play very well. That's what happened as opposed to any roof falling. We took bad shots. We tried to go one-on-one, get stripped 2 or 3 times, and allow them to get some easy baskets.
Any adjustments in the second half?
Play much better.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
That's the end of the first half with the score, Connecticut 36, Ohio State 35. And CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship continues after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports.
So when Freeman goes out to protect against Red getting the ball, he makes the cut. Nobody there to help out from the weak side. Good execution by Ohio State. Both teams need more of that in the second half. Too much one-on-one play that got him in trouble.
Right at the end of the first half, the block by Singleton drew quite a reaction. A chest thump from Scooney Penn. Singleton got a little disoriented. He thought it was Hamilton. He went after the Husky instead. Can you get thrown out of a game for
hitting your own team?
Hitting your own team?
No way.
Oh boy.
Both teams start off the way they did the game. Vosco back in there with Johnson, and those two fouls on Vosco when Jim Calhoun did not want to take him out in that first half that early really hurt Connecticut.
Brown on the wing, three-pointer to start the half, and Freeman with his 5th rebound to lead the Huskies in this one.
And there's a case, Jim, in the NCAA tournament, guys got to step up and make shots. Now Brown's wide open because Connecticut really putting 2 men on Red when he drives. You've got to be able to make that jump shot. Brown not ready to take it. There's the same backdoor cut we just showed.
Oh, and El Amin had lost it for a moment, but a good assist. And he points ahead to Vosco. Thanks him.
And the reason it works so well, again, nobody in that paint whatsoever to help out from the weak side. Brown, the freshman, starts off with 2 tough plays right here in the second half. Hurts his ball club on both. This is out of Johnson's range.
He's going to take it anyway.
Out of his range.
And Vosco ahead to El Amin. Vosco trailing. Bounce pass back to him. Hey, it's give and take. I do it on the last trip. You give it back this time.
Jim, anytime you can get a guy to take a bad shot, you've got a big advantage in basketball. It's the worst thing a guy can do is take a shot his teammates don't expect, because there's never anybody there to rebound. So consequently, the other team's off and running. The worst thing you can do, take a bad shot. Nice change by Scooney Penn.
Penn, he felt the presence of Moore from behind.
Boy, even if you beat Moore, he's right there to defend you.
Brown in the lane.
Got to convert here.
Tipped up, too strong by Johnson. He may have been able to put 2 hands on it.
Absolutely.
You know, on that putback. Let's go over to Bonnie Bernstein. Bonnie?
Jim, that play where Vosco just scored on the break, that's the last thing Coach Jim O'Brien wanted to see out of Ohio State's defense. He said, we have to stop them in transition. We especially have to keep an eye on Hamilton because he has a way of leaking out there and scoring on fast breaks. Jim?
Savovich in for the Buckeyes for Brown.
And Jim, you made a very good point. You notice Johnson went up just with his left hand, which is his weak hand. He goes up there. He had an easy putback for 2 for Ohio State. So they've had some opportunities here in the second half and not converted.
El Amin. Then cut him off.
Good solid screen there. Nice hedge move by Johnson to cut it off.
Fighting through the screen. Call that one on Red.
Now what we saw in the first half is that Ohio State did a good job not getting any foul trouble of their own. And in that last sequence, they were going to try to go ahead and really go out pressure on the ball because they had a foul to give. Ohio State not going to let Connecticut get an easy basket on the inbounds. They go back to their 2-3 zone. Matching up out of it. Richard Hamilton alone over here in the corner. They can get him the ball. Red recognizes where Hamilton is and kind of gives up some space.
15 on the shot clock. Hamilton will handle it.
You got to play him man-to-man because he's a guy that can come off that screen and score.
Has 3 defenders and banks it home.
Jim, that was a terrific play by Hamilton. He saw the 2-3 zone. He knew the clock was working against him. Ohio State should have recognized that, know that he's not going to give up the ball, and almost in the zone play him man-to-man, almost like a boxing one in that situation.
First 6 points of the half to the Huskies. Ohio State has missed all 5 tries in this half. And a whistle.
Freeman on a push.
Before the shot.
You see right here, nobody picking up the most dangerous guy in the court, not only because Hamilton's a scorer, but he's got the ball in his hands. Too late as 3 converge. And there you see his versatility as an offensive player. A slasher, an outside shooter, and a finisher.
The high dribble did not get him in trouble. And that foul is called on Freeman, his second.
And remember, Ohio State has converted on these out of bounds twice. They don't get that one.
Red lost control of it. Freeman teed him up. And will they say a reach in on Hamilton?
You know, Red has gotten, Jim, 3 balls that have been knocked away or blocked of his, and then almost got a chance to put them back up and score. He did that in the first half on 2 occasions.
It's the first foul on Richard Hamilton. Johnson over Bosco.
Wow.
That's just a wild grenade. And here's Freeman with the rebound.
Now, the guys back at St. John's probably wondering, why didn't he do that against us?
And Moore at the other end.
I think Ricky Moore is making some bad judgments with the dribble. He did it in the first half. He's taken his team out of the offense, trying to beat him. That's not his game. His game is to defend and distribute the ball.
And Moore defending.
Oh,
and somehow he squirts it in.
Sensational play underneath. What a scoop shot.
First points of the half for Ohio State. Took over 3.5 minutes. Hamilton again to the line for 2.
The charge
on Hamilton.
Here we're going to see this dribble penetration. Penn gets the corner. And what made it, though, was that incredible shot. Watch this scoop underneath the defensive hand. Tremendous.
It's tough to beat Ricky Moore. That's about the only way you can do it.
Moore fighting over the top of that screen by Singleton. Tries to fight it again.
Penn, second time, no. Freeman. Huskies are breaking. Hamilton with Sopovich defending. And 1.
2 great scores. Finding out ways to put that ball up. Jim, we look at the shooting percentages in the first half. Both teams right up there, one above 50 and right just underneath it. We see Hamilton going up using the left hand beautifully. I think back at field goal shooting percentages in the Final Four. Who will ever forget 22 for 28 Villanova? Remember that? 78%. And the team will see out here right now, Ohio State back in 1960 and in 61, Ohio State in back-to-back years shot 67% and 63%. In 60 to win the national championship. And in 61, they lost to Cincinnati in a great overtime thriller. That's filling it up when you're shooting over 60% and lose a game.
There's Richard Sr. Sun just converts the 3-point play. We'll be right back.
Okay, this is the inside of the cabin where I wrote the Yellow Pages. It's really a fascinating place. A lot of research material. Here's a hazardous waste removal. Attorneys, they send me a cast. This is really interesting. This is for loans. Check this out. I told them I never got it. Bakeries, we got cakes. This was amazing, this, automotive repair. Guy sent me a whole engine. I do all the drawings for the book.
Yeah, people don't know that.
They don't even know I wrote the book. People think it's just a phone book, and it's not. It's a place to get ideas.
Hertz Freedom Rates, only $33.99 a day at participating U.S. airports, with the freedom to pick up and drop off anytime. Just keep it over a Saturday night. Hertz will provide the great rates.
Can we go back to the room now?
The rest is up to you. Hertz Freedom Rates, only $33.99 a day at participating U.S. airports, with the freedom to pick up and drop off anytime. Just keep it over a Saturday night. Hertz will provide the great rates. The rest is up to you.
Let's see. College in 4 years. Costs up 40% over the next 5. Somebody do the math here.
It'd be great if our money would grow as fast as these kids. I can't believe.
Will paying for college be as painful as this? Let's get rid of it.
Hey, that kid just dropped a pretzel? Because I like pretzels. I really like
We'll be able to help with their education.
I wonder if we should have put that money in a trust. Maybe we would have.
I hope she was kidding about college in Hawaii.
Thank you, Payne Weber.
Start something special.
In a car commercial, you expect to see some fine print. Well, here's some of the finest darn print you'll ever see. Right now, get 2.9% financing on all 99 Oldsmobiles. Start something special at your Oldsmobile dealer now.
This is a cool way to see the games. Stats, play-by-play, shot charts. I love technology. Tournament live, only at cbs.sportsline.com.
Well, this is the 4th time in the 90s one conference has put in 7 teams in the tournament. In fact, the Big Ten doing it 3 different times. This is the first time anyone converted. Back twice with Ohio State and Michigan State here.
Well, Jim, 7 in, 2 to the Final Four, an overall record in NCAA tournament play this year of 13-5. Does anybody want to argue that the Big Ten from top to bottom this year was the top conference in the country? And just think about it. Illinois, the 11th place team in the Big Ten, worked their way to the finals of the Big Ten tournament. So they really had some depth.
Could have been 8, because if you look at the worst seed that a Big Ten team received, it was Purdue as a 10. So you have to think they would have had 8 had Illinois gotten the automatic. Red. And Voskuhl had it for a moment. El Amin is there. This Ohio State team was last in the Big Ten a year ago. El Amin on the drive. Again, the Huskies blow the chance to get set. 3-on-1 for the Buckeyes. Back to Savovich.
Wow, that was a dangerous pass. I'm not so sure Singleton passed it. I think he just lost it out of his hand. Worked out all right. Every time you think Connecticut ready to blow this thing open, Ohio State comes back.
And the reason in both halves has been a couple of short trips where some not very good use of the clock type possessions.
Yeah, Ricky Moore's judgment to try to drive all the way, I think, cost him. I think he should try to keep this team in their offense.
Well, I mean, did it on the previous trip. 6 seconds on the shot clock.
Hamilton sitting down. Who's going to be the scorer?
No whistle. 1 second on the shot clock. More in time. Shot clock violation.
Again, there's a situation where the judgment by Moore is such he has got to get his team in the offense. Hamilton not on that bench long. Jim Calhoun is going to go ahead and make some changes. Mooring comes out, Hamilton right back in. And what he's hollering about is, why didn't you come to take the ball so that we could get some offense started? I'm sure that Jim Calhoun wanted Hamilton to have a little bit longer rest when he had a nice working margin there.
Red.
Oh, sensational. You can see why he is such a big scorer and so hard to defend. He is an excellent dribbler. He's one of the few guys in college basketball I've seen in a while that can score off the dribble. Guys normally can score off the dunk, or they can score off the cross-court pass. But not many guys can beat you off the dribble with a jump shot the way he can.
He led the Big Ten in scoring as a freshman a year ago, and Red's basket cuts the lead to 4. It had been 8.
Young man was very upset when he got picked second team All Big Ten.
Can't blame him. You know, had to share the points with Penn. 4 on the shot clock. Hamilton on the drive. It traveled.
Red stayed right with him. That's one of Hamilton's pet moves. And Red was right there. I'm giving Red some credit defensively today. You think of him as a scorer, but when he's been matched up with Hamilton one-on-one, even though Hamilton scored some points, Red's done a pretty good job. There's that dribble again. Look at that. He just penetrated.
Head to El Amin. Left hand for 2.
Well, there's a situation where Red shoots out at the top of the key. Nobody rotated to get back on defense. And Connecticut is very good on that outlet pass. Now, Jim O'Brien has no inside scoring except Singleton right now. Johnson out of the ball game. And Singleton has really been quiet. He hasn't been coming to meet that ball.
Reese kicks it back out.
Great defense by Moore.
Back to Singleton. And Saunders swipes it.
Pretty good elevation by Singleton that time, Jim. He had a good shot.
Saunders steps up, jumper. Wow, from the outside. Nice touch. Edmund Saunders.
Jim Calhoun really likes this young man. Thinks he can be quite a player.
Back to an 8-point lead.
And there was the difference. Saunders hits the shot that Brown didn't hit before. A guy off the bench contributing.
Hamilton pleads his case to no avail. It's his 3rd.
That's 4. He's had 3 cheap ones in this game. There's that outlet pass. Beautifully thrown. El Amin can use the right or the left hand to finish.
Rashmel Jones will come in, and Hamilton with the 3 sits. Bosco also taken out. Freeman in.
An opportunity here, even though we talked about Connecticut's deep bench with Hamilton sitting down. This is a time Ohio State's got to make a move. Good job by Freeman to realize that the screener Singleton was really setting him up to try to break to the basket.
Look at this battle. Penn.
That's just outstanding defense.
And Moore gets the rebound. El-Amin, lob pass. Jones, what a snag.
But, Jim, it all started with Ricky Moore's defense on Scooney Penn. He just won't let him penetrate.
And then he went and chased down the rebound.
Terrific job by Moore on the defensive end of the floor.
A 20, and UConn has its largest lead of the night. Well, Tuesday on JAG, a crippled aircraft carrier leaves a flight of planes with no place to land. Who was trying to take out the Navy? An explosive all-new JAG Tuesday on CBS.
Jim, you were talking about the Big Ten and how well they did this year. The Big Ten's the first team, and this Ohio State club was the club to go to 3 straight Final Fours. They did that back in the 40s. They then did it again in the 60s. The great Jerry Lucas, John Havlicek teams went to the Final Four 3 times in a row, 60, 61, and 62. They won in 60 as sophomores, then lost to Cincinnati in 61, and then lost again to Cincinnati in 62 as they came into the tournament the #1 ranked team. And then only Cincinnati had it 3 years in a row, only to lose against Chicago Loyola.
Reese, and tipped up once. Chased down by Red. This is the 9th Final Four trip for Ohio State, but first since 68. An empty trip as Moore comes out with it.
4-on-2.
To Saunders, passed this a little too low, below the knees.
Ricky Moore's got to remember that it's Saunders, not Freeman. Not quite as good a catcher on the break.
10-point lead. Timeout on the floor.
Stuck with a flat tire? Not with this tire. Even with no air pressure, you drive to safety. Aqua Steel Run Flat. Don't get stuck. Get there.
Good year, good year.
Yes, we have a guy who spent 17 years creating the perfect foam for this smooth Pilsner beer. And no, we are not currently accepting applications.
Security breach, sir. Somehow Johnson's had a pizza delivered. A delivery boy just waltzed in here?
Fancy crust, toppings? Looks that way, sir.
Find him now. Where's the delivery boy?
It's not delivery. It's DiGiorno.
The Rising Crust Pizza that bakes up fresh like pizzeria pizza. It's not delivery. It's DiGiorno.
Here, taste.
I see we're getting quite a jump on this.
Has just made like a sort of a recent move in the last 3 minutes.
How's your day going?
How are the pharmaceutical stocks doing?
First thing on the docket is to get as much information as I can.
Yeah, let me check it.
Average daily volume being 27,000, so it looks like we're on track. So I can provide our clients with the best detailed information possible.
We're going to help them with all the research and all the information that we have here.
There's some regulatory legislation going adverse effect on their stock.
Chart looks good.
Checking with you next week.
Sounds great. Nice talking to you. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend, too.
Thanks.
On the day I was born, the nurses all gathered round, and they gazed in wide wonder at the joy they had found. The head nurse spoke up, said, "Leave this one alone." She could tell right away that I was bad to the bone.
The Cadillac Escalade is born. It's good to be the Cadillac.
Hey, Craig, why are some teams called Cinderellas? Is that some weird sex thing? Yes, it is.
Hamilton leading the Huskies with 20 points and solid from the field in this game. Jim Nance, Billy Packer back here in St. Pete. How about the pass from El-Amin?
Well, remember, Moore started this all with great defense. A beautiful lob. El-Amin on the catch, recognizes where Jones is, and look at this catch, Jim, and a finish. Roshmel Jones. You know, you look at this young man. I mentioned he had 31 starts as a sophomore. He was the Big East all-tournament player last year as a junior. That 17 points, 9 rebound game against Syracuse. So we're talking about a very solid player. Full court pressure now. Little zone. 2-2-1 by Connecticut.
E.J. Harrison defending and reaching in.
Now Connecticut can afford a foul by Harrison. He's into the game just to try to occupy Penn for a couple of minutes. Save Elamine and Hamilton on that bench.
UConn with 3 subs on the floor right now. Harrison, Saunders, and Jones.
They're just not getting good screens on Moore to free Penn up.
Reese.
That counts.
No call.
Oh, it should have been. That ball should have been a goaltend. Jim O'Brien thinks so.
Saunders with the swat. 20 on the shot clock. Ohio State's missed its last 6. And a hold called on Freeman.
Freeman, a foul on West. On Reese, rather. There's the shot on the way down, no question. Once that ball starts in its downward flight and you touch it, it's 2.
Reese working hard, banks it home.
Pretty nice job for the sub.
Got 4 off the bench.
Johnson been on that bench for quite some time. He got back in now, so the shot blocker is back in the game.
Hamilton will be coming in on the next whistle for UConn. Tough to find their points on the floor right now.
There's Red now on Moore outside. Freeman. Boy, I'm surprised he didn't try to take Johnson. He's quicker from there.
Jones got it to 2. He had a foot on the line.
Savovich, good block out.
10 minutes to go in game 1. Huskies lead by 8.
You notice there are no back screens on Moore. They can't seem to free Scooney Penn to create the switch where somebody other than Moore's got him head-to-head.
Jones reaches in. Saunders ahead to Freeman, and he's tripped by Penn.
Oh, and he came down on that wrist. And look at Scooney Penn, a former player in the Big East. He was the player of the year in the tournament.
Back in '97
right,
Big East tournament.
Right, when he played at BC, so he's familiar with playing against Connecticut. We ought to point out, Jim, there you see the trip. Certainly inadvertent. But Jim Calhoun's got an 18-game win streak on Jim O'Brien, going head-to-head when Jim was back as coach at BC.
Well, Jim O'Brien says Jim Calhoun owns me.
Well, and surprising, Jim O'Brien started his career as a coach as an assistant at Connecticut. Right.
Yep.
And you know, yesterday he was so kind to talk to us for that long. And I asked him a question that really I was very interested in. I said, did you ever envision when you were an assistant at Connecticut that they could ever have a basketball program like this? And he said, Billy, not in the wildest imagination did we ever have the goal that Jim not only had the goal to do, but accomplished at Connecticut.
At that time when he was an assistant, he said we just wanted to be the best team in New England. Now Red.
That's got to count too.
Ricky Moore blocked it, but it's goaltending.
There aren't many guys in the country better offensively than this young man right here. Beautiful layup, and you can see the ball hit the backboard, which you can still go and grab it there, but once it hits the backboard and starts down, it's too late. And Ricky Moore gets a piece.
Are you certain that ball was on the way down? Did it look like it to you?
Yep.
Okay. 12 points for Red. El-Amin back in the game.
And Ricky Moore's got a guy he can beat off the dribble right now in Savovich. He's quicker. Good screen by Voskuhl. Oh, great screen by Voskuhl. Set everything up for Freeman. Freeman read it. Hamilton read it perfectly.
53-45. It's been about this 8-point margin most of the half.
There's the solid screen for Penn.
Penn too strong. Out to Savovich.
What a solid game.
Reese blocked by Voskuhl, and they say he got a piece of the arm. His third. Well, Tuesday, the long-awaited premiere of The Late Late Show with Craig Kilburn. An hour of comedy, celebrities, and his famous 5 questions.
at the line.
And Jim Savovic, who's having a very good game off the bench from Montenegro, Yugoslavia. You can imagine what that young man is going through right now in terms of the crisis back in his homeland and still being able to concentrate on basketball.
His hometown about 100 miles away from the center of all that strife. He's checked with his family, and his parents are fine back home in Yugoslavia.
And he moved to New Jersey, played at Eastside High School, but is obviously not far removed from that turmoil and conflict.
Eight and a half remaining here in St. Petersburg. Into Voskuhl, who was held by Reese.
Very good positioning by Jake Voskuhl that time. He had Reese on his back and just held him there with good positioning. Neither team, in my estimation, has played as well as they can play in the half-court set. You know, a lot of these points have been scored on actually transition baskets. There's a push by Singleton, gets away with it. Hamilton likes to stay there with Reese, and hey, just clear it out for me.
And Voskuhl can't believe it. They're going to call him for his fourth, as Singleton was tangled with him.
Give him the Oscar, Jim. That's three. That's three today that he has been able to pick up Singleton by just going ahead and giving up to the power when he gets faced with any kind of touch. Watch this inside. Now, he's banging just as much as is Voskuhl, but now, oh, goodness, I've been injured. I'm going to the floor. And he wins. Wow. That little fella from Italy would only wish that he could act like that, huh?
Jason Singleton at the line.
Tell you what, some UConn fans want to hop over some seats after that call. So 1-1 here. And it rattles out. Savovic almost tipped it in. Juan with the rebound.
Nobody blocking out Savovic. He is having a very good game. Just a freshman. And he will be joined next year by two more kids from Yugoslavia. So Ohio State will be well served there. They can play like he can.
10 seconds on the shot clock.
Now Elamine thinks that he can take Savovic.
He'll take the three instead.
I'm surprised he didn't drive. Had a quickness advantage. Didn't take advantage of it.
Again, just when UConn looked like it might blow it open, they've just run dry on the offensive end. Pin pull up.
Boy, he didn't expect to be that wide open.
And more out battles Reese for the rebound.
Good idea by Elamine to pull it up. Saunders was there, but he knows he doesn't catch it that well on the run. Possession of the ball more important than trying to make the quick play.
The floor leader, Elamine, signals 20. Verbalizes 20. And now he's looking for Hamilton. Red lost his balance for a moment. Hamilton comes up shy.
Red reacts so well. There's that illegal dribble of his that he got by with that time, just cupping the ball. Hamilton was lucky to stay with him.
Big shot here, Savovic.
Short, and they got the numbers again.
Got two ahead. Elamine bangs it home.
Jim O'Brien can see things slipping now. Jim, it's one thing to get this breakout, but now the clock is starting to become important. You get down almost by double figures.
16 for Elamine.
Gotta put it right up.
Savovic is hammered. He'll go to the line for two.
The other thing I'm seeming to notice a little bit by Ohio State, I think these numbers that Connecticut's been thrown on them, wearing them down a little bit. Even though this game hasn't been a high-scoring game, it has been relatively fast-paced up and down.
Voskuhl has 4 for UConn. With Hamilton and Freeman with 3, Savovic with 3. He's at the line to shoot 2. We saw Jim O'Brien, only the 3rd coach to ever take Ohio State to a Final Four, joining Harold Olson and Fred Taylor. Voskuhl, there he is with 4. You mentioned Ohio State had played in the 1939 Final Four, very first one in Evanston, Illinois, and they were able to also, well, they didn't win. Oregon and the Tall Furs of Howard Hobson won that first championship, but the Buckeyes delivered the first outstanding player of the Final Four, Jimmy Hall. Who will it be here in St. Pete? Savovic. with a make and a timeout on the floor. Ohio State only 22% from the field in the second half. We'll be right back.
The durable, authentic khaki. You'll wear out before they do.
Mrs. Faree is teaching geometry at Maxwell Middle School.
And when I get to school, I have kids actually waiting at my door.
They're making designs using Microsoft PowerPoint that they turn into mosaics on the school's picnic tables.
Everything that they learn is something they can use in real life, and then you can make it grow. And
Technology is helping these kids develop the skills they will need in life.
I hope that the kids don't just say, you were my favorite teacher. They say, I learned something from you.
What is the value of victory? What makes success so sweet? At American General, we help over 12 million people every day live the lives they've imagined with retirement services, life insurance, consumer loans, and whether they have big dreams or little dreams, the real victory is seeing their dreams come true. American General Financial Group. Live the life you've imagined.
Buying a car will never be the same, because now you can check out any car you want and see how it stacks up to the competition whenever it's convenient for you. With our new website, even when the showroom is closed, we're still open. Introducing GMBuyPower.com.
Connecticut with a 7-point lead, Billy, with 6:22 remaining.
Jim, very dangerous time for Ohio State. Now, they not only have to get some defensive stops, but I think they're going to have to figure out a way to get Scooney Penn free some. And there's a young guy sitting there watching this game that's very important to this team.
Yeah, that's the father of Ricky Moore, Buck Moore, who's one of the premier caddies on the PGA Tour. You know, the family's from Augusta, Georgia. And, well, Ricky, during his teenage years, used to wait tables at Augusta National.
And this man right here, very important, because Ohio State has not been able to get Scooney Penn open very much with Ricky Moore on him. I really think they've got to set some solid screens to get Moore away and let Penn get opened up offensively. It can't be just Red's job to score here.
Penn is 3 out of 9 from the field in the game.
Not enough shots in a game like this, Jim, for a guy of his caliber. Inside screening. Pretty good job by Ohio State staying with it.
6 minutes to go, and UConn in no hurry. Into Freeman. Taken away by Red.
Look at his ability to dribble that ball, huh? Quick hands. Good stop for Ohio State. Freeman thought he could take Johnson. It wasn't quite there.
Johnson, hook shot for 2.
Jimmy loves to play against smaller people. Now, remember what he did to Ron Artest. He said, a guy that size can't guard me, and Freeman found that out. Good job by Johnson.
Jim O'Brien told us Johnson's a young man who's really starting to enjoy the game of basketball, maybe for the first time in his life. And you can see it in his play.
And here's Singleton matching up with Hamilton.
Elamine to Moore, and he's hacked. The CBS Sportsline stat of the game. Second half field goal percentage. Quite telling here. Ohio State only 25%. For complete tournament coverage, go to cbs.sportsline.com.
And 25% when they were shooting 50% in the first half. Something had to give there, though. Connecticut normally does a much better job on you defensively.
Second on Penn. UConn has not allowed a team to shoot 50% on the field in over 55 games.
Jim, you know, when I look at Ricky Moore, I think of the team that got beat by Mississippi State. Remember, Ricky Moore hurt his shoulder in the regular season and hurt it again in the NCAA tournament. At that time, He was the player they needed to match up against Mississippi State. Didn't have him, and Jim Calhoun was knocked out of the tournament. Mississippi State obviously going on to the Final Four.
That was one of the hardest losses for this program, to lose to Mississippi State in the Sweet 16. Ray Allen's last year. Brown wild makes it in. Wow.
That's the only thing he could do on that one, is to slam it against the board.
Could have shattered the glass.
Yep, there was nothing left as far as a touch shot was concerned.
5-point game, under 5 remaining. Hamilton wants to take over at this point.
Oh, that wasn't going to go. Johnson stayed right with it.
The last minute, he got it over to Freeman.
Johnson has very good instincts as a shot blocker.
On the shot clock. El Amin with the defender slipping. He'll take it to the hole, and it's from behind. Up ahead to Red. More defending. Red. The game is down to 3.
Little different story for Ricky Moore when he's got to guard a guy 6'6" than when he has to guard Scooney Penn. Red just took it to him.
22nd timeout. Calhoun and Connecticut.
We're going to see a guy that knows how to put that ball on the floor. This is a great block from behind by Brown. And now watch Red. Runs it down and then crosses over, dribbles. And with that 6'6" is able to put it away.
Buckeyes will not go away. .413 remaining.
You know, Jim, Ohio State's had some great scorers. We mentioned Jerry Lucas, the incredible star, probably the greatest player ever to play there. But Gary Brad's the '64 National Player of the Year. He had 6 straight games where he scored over 40 points. As I said, National Player of the Year, did play in '62 with that team, but then was great as an All-American in '64.
Saunders thought about it on the post. Now here's El Amin. Off balance, but he drops it.
Great penetrator.
59-54, under 4 remaining.
Spread out. How about Johnson? Not going to go to him again?
Brown, the freshman. Long rebound to Moore.
I think it would have been smart to go down inside with Johnson, even with Saunders on him. Get something going inside, then back out. These possessions should be Johnson, Red, or Scooney Penn offensively, not Brown. But it's nice to see if you have a team like Connecticut where they're so blessed, El Amin or Hamilton can take you out in that 1-4 set.
Hamilton top of the key.
Good blockouts by everybody.
Off the floor, Singleton saves it for the Bucks. Pin and reach in on Moore, almost cleanly taking it away.
And from behind. You see this, Jim? Block it out on the inside. Now watch what Ricky Moore does if we can catch this. He actually pulled Johnson from behind with his shirt. A very dangerous play because you get caught for the intentional foul.
10 team fouls on UConn. It will be 2 the rest of the way for Ohio State. Scooney Penn with 1 more.
Johnson with a chance.
Last touch by Ohio State. And a timeout on the floor. A tight one in game 1. Huskies lead by 4.
How do I look? How do I look? How do I look?
Very good. I must say, I'm amazed.
I am a very stylish girl.
The new Volvo S80. My goodness.
A very stylish girl.
Board meeting.
You spend your days, and probably more evenings than you'd care to admit, trying to align your company's strategies with process and technology and managing risks to your global operations. At Arthur Andersen, we can help you make those kinds of decisions. And that just might free you up enough to take care of something that's really important. Arthur Andersen, helping in ways you never imagined.
If you've never experienced the thrill of Mach 3, it's wake-up time. Introducing Mach 3 from Gillette, the first triple blade shaving system. 3 blades positioned to shave progressively closer. You take 1 stroke, it takes 3, so you don't have to shave over and over, which means less irritation. 3 blades, fewer strokes, less irritation. Mach 3 from Gillette.
Dave's all new this week with Steve Martin, Goldie Hawn, Dennis Hopper, Mary Lou Henner, Lawrence Fishburne. And Monday, don't miss Sports Bloopers with Marv Albert.
Each team with 2 full timeouts and a 20 also for the Huskies. And you were talking about Ricky Moore and trying to hold up that fast break a moment ago.
Jim, he was very lucky here. The official didn't see this. See, Johnson's running. Moore grabs him by the pants. Johnson tries to get him away. That would have been an intentional foul, automatic. Put Ohio State on the line for 2 and the ball.
Trying to swipe Johnson's shorts. Maybe we know now where Scooney Penn's jersey might be. Maybe Ricky took it before the game.
Well, that wasn't
a matching pair.
With the trailing official and the 3-man officiating crew, that was not a smart play.
2:50 remaining, Husky ball.
Ohio State with their starting lineup on the floor, as is the case for Connecticut.
Bosco looking in. Oh, now loses it. That should be double dribble.
Singleton did a terrific job with low post defense on Kevin Freeman. There was no place to throw the ball.
What are they calling here? A timeout? A 20-second timeout, which will deny the Buckeyes the ball.
Now take a look. Shot clock still at 15, so Connecticut has plenty of time to operate.
Just when it looked like UConn was turning it over. Tonight, after the Final Four on CBS, all new episode of hot new action show Sammo Hung and Arsenio Hall in martial law at a special time tonight on CBS.
Jim, that was a set situation to try to post up Freeman inside, but give Singleton a lot of credit. He stayed with a guy that's very difficult to guard in the low post because Freeman's quick and he's strong. Now real important to get the ball with Elamine out here. They want to get Hamilton free. Penn's on him. He can shoot over him if they can get him the ball.
Elamine dribbles past the defender, and it rattles out. Long rebound to Bosco. A huge get for the Huskies.
It sure was. And they did a smart thing by bringing it back out. The clock is there. One of their teammates right now.
Twice on this trip, it looked like they had lost possession of it.
Again, it seems like they're trying to get the ball down inside to Freeman.
Tipped out, and just 12 on the shot clock.
I think they should go 1-4 to Hamilton on the top. Calling the special play.
7 on the shot clock.
He's got Scooney Penn down inside and can't get in the ball. Here he is.
Hamilton puts it up, and he beats the shot clock.
That's exactly what they wanted. Hamilton gets caught with Scooney Penn, too small to guard him. The way to recognize what the defense is giving you.
The horn sounded in flight.
That's a tough break for Ohio State, Jim. They made some good defensive stops and couldn't put it away. Now Bosco's got his hands up. Is that number 5?
That's it for Bosco.
For number 43, Jake Bosco.
And Jim, one of the things that Bosco has got to learn is to stay away from those cheap fouls. Remember when the game started, he picked up 2 that he really had no business getting. Going over the back on a rebound he had no chance for. And that's one of the reasons he gets into foul trouble.
There's his father, Joe. Family is from Katy, Texas.
Played at Tulsa, where he was an outstanding rebounder. He's actually still 9th all-time at Tulsa as a rebounder.
One big play he made in this game was on that last possession to chase down that rebound that resulted in a Hamilton basket.
That is the 2nd time this year he's fouled out, but more importantly, that's his 103rd foul he's committed this year.
Red at the line for 2. Just a sophomore, on pace to one day be the school's all-time scorer. He would overtake Dennis Hobson.
Short.
But the rebound to the Buckeyes. And
two
players. Oh, Johnson and Singleton shared it, and that's a traveling violation.
Boy, everything going wrong for Ohio State. They couldn't get possession down the other end with good defense. Now they've got 2 guys with possession, but they're on the same team.
What a critical point. Just a minute and 21 seconds on the clock, and they turn it over.
Well, they're going to have to now be very aggressive and even thinking about fouling some. Down to 110. They've got to get possession.
You don't want to put El Amin on the line.
He's a 78% free throw shooter. And again, they almost
scored. Yep. Moore to Freeman. Caught underneath. Out to Hamilton. 1 on the clock. Almost for a 2nd time. Penn takes middle. He'll drive it all the way up high. Johnson underneath. Tipped out and controlled by the Huskies. Freeman broke early. And there's the foul more. It'll be a 1-and-1, not a 2-shot situation. That's only the 18th foul.
Jim, Ricky Moore's an 81% free throw shooter. You got Hamilton on the floor, an 84% free throw shooter. El Amin, a 78 free throw shooter, and Freeman 71. So it's hard to pick out a guy on this team to foul at this point. You don't have much choice.
So Ricky Moore at the line, just an outstanding young man who his freshman year burst on the scene, looked as though he might help the team go to the Final Four for the first time, injured late in that campaign, become the greatest defensive player Jim Calhoun says he's ever coached. 1-and-1.
Well, this year in the Stanford game, he held Arthur Lee to 4 for 13, held Mateen Cleaves, who we'll see in the next game, to 2 for 15, and certainly did a splendid job on Scooney Penn today.
Calhoun said he can control a game without even taking a shot. There aren't many players you can say that about. Knocks them both down. Ricky Moore.
Ohio State's got to throw that ball up the court in a hurry now. Clock running against them. They got to think strictly 3.
30 seconds left.
Too much time.
There's a 3 and a foul. They say Moore fouled him in the act. It'll be a 3-shot situation.
Now, Ricky Moore on this one, Jim, has got to use judgment here. That's going to be a very difficult shot to make. You just stay on the floor and let him put it up. You don't want to stop the clock.
Call that on Hamilton.
Well, he'll get 3 anyway. What I'm saying is you've got to go ahead and let a guy take a shot like that. The clock is your teammate.
Ricky Moore.
They've switched it. I was a bit surprised, and they announced it here. In fact, they presented 3-2 over to the bench, but it's on Moore, his 2nd.
Ohio State defensively going to put some guys in the game to automatically and quickly foul. If they can get a chance, foul Saunders. Got 2 shots left.
Got the first 2. 1 more to come. They bring Brown in along with Reese. Sapovich out. Johnson out.
The object here will be to foul on that inbounds. Now, if you're Jim Calhoun, you have to get maybe Saunders out of there and get another free throw shooter in the ball game, because you know what Ohio State's going to do defensively.
Penn makes, they'll bring in Deshaun Coleman for the shooter.
Saunders is a 62% free throw shooter. Everybody else that's on that floor can really shoot well on the free throw line.
Missed the 3rd one, and Saunders is fouled right away.
So Ohio State didn't get the basket they wanted, but you know that might be a pretty good trade-off to be able to foul with basically a 2nd going off the clock.
And still a 1-and-1 situation at the other end.
Now Saunders, remember, in this half pulled up and took a nice jump shot from the top of the key and made it.
Looked very graceful with that jumper.
Yes, he sure did. A two-time All-Stater from Waterbury, Connecticut.
Savovich back. 1-1.
Now, if you're Connecticut also, you want to pick up full court to not allow Ohio State to roll that ball down the floor.
Well, there you go. There's the trade out. Penn with 21 seconds.
Got to take another shot right away.
Blocked by Hamilton. Red frees himself. That's a three. Dips down and out. Out to Penn with 9 seconds.
Too late.
And a foul called on Saunders.
Oh, boy, that's the last thing that Jim Calhoun wants, is to stop the clock and put Ohio State on the line. But, Jim, not enough time now for Ohio State. Connecticut's going to advance to the championship game. And that's 19 in a row. Jim Calhoun over Jim O'Brien.
Well, if they get Reese to make the first, miss the second, put back quickly, that's what they have to be hoping. I mean, it's the longest of shots. And Reese at the line, 2-shot situation.
He will have 2 shots.
Calhoun called the win over Gonzaga one moment in time for us. It airbrushed over 75 years of history in the UConn program. And now they bring in Brown.
Scooney Penn going to sit down, and Jim, maybe that number 12 jersey was lucky for him today.
The 35 was unlucky.
That's what I'm saying. 35 unlucky. Number 12 is what he normally wears.
Reese missed them both.
That's another foul
on Ohio State. And it's 2 at the other end. Double bonus.
Scooney Penn, the guy that was the leader that turned around that Ohio State team, not only physically, but getting his guys to believe, along with his coach, that they could have a winning basketball team. Not only winning, but one that could go into the NCAA tournament and survive. He'll be back next year, and this is going to be a fine team.
Jim O'Brien said Scooney was the only one who believed we could make it here. Almost times wanted to tell him to cool it. You know, we had 5 straight losing years. A year ago, 18 straight losses at one time. Ohio State really hurt itself at the line. 9 of 18 free throws in the game.
And Jim, you're looking at a club that's you know, relatively good free throw shooting team from their productive players, but really weak on the other end. Only as a team 61%, so not uncommon for them.
Saunders gets the second to go.
Jim O'Brien wants a timeout.
And we'll take one with him. 5 seconds remaining to make it official for Monday night. And the Huskies. O'Brien, after just the most improbable season, it looks like it's about to come to a close. An NCAA record-tying turnaround for this team. And there's no one in this profession that doesn't appreciate what Jim O'Brien did this year. His personal journey to the Final Four. Congratulations to Jim O'Brien and the Buckeyes.
Good move by Connecticut here, trying to take away that opportunity to get the ball up the court easily.
Penn puts up the shot, and the game is over. You can book it. UConn continues on to the Monday night final. The first spot reserved Monday night goes to Connecticut. The Huskies will play either Duke or Michigan State. UConn a 64-58 winner over the Ohio State Buckeyes. And the Chevrolet most valuable players of the game are Michael Redd from Ohio State, 15 points and 8 rebounds. And Richard Hamilton, the All-America, 24, leading the way for the Huskies.